The following is a production of White Lightning Entertainment. This is Burning Rubber Radio.
Bush goes low. Burton blocks. He gets back up. Comes to the line. Jeff, your little boy, has done it. Harrison Burton wins in Daytona. And does what his uncle and dad did. How about that?
Burning Rubber Radio is brought to you by Drive Refine. It's more than driver coaching. It's Drive Refine. Visit driverefine.com to get signed up today. Now from the White Lightning Entertainment Studios in Statesville, North Carolina, here's your host, Andy DeLay.
Hey, everybody. Burning Rubber, baby. It's that time again. Burning Rubber Radio's back on the air. And I'm Andy DeLay, your host. Of course, we are the fastest 60 minutes in motorsports. And we got a full house this week. We got, of course, NASCAR chef John Dix. What's up, bud?
Yeah. What's up? I'm here. I'm ready, Andy. Let's do it.
Yeah, good, man. I'm ready to eat, too. And Zachary Mertez. How are you, buddy?
Mertez.
Same fucking fuck! Whoops, we already started off with the damn... It's... Mertez, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing great, Andy. You still can't pronounce my name right, but it's all good.
It's been years, too, man, but whatever. Don't feel bad, because I don't pronounce anyone else's name correctly
nope,
either.
He sure as hell don't.
Anyway, guys.
If you're a driver and you have a last name, you're in trouble with Andy, but
especially if you run an F1. Anyway, had a great week in NASCAR, and of course IndyCar ran too, and lots of other stuff we're going to cover this week. It was great to see Wood Brothers get its 100th win, boys.
Yes,
Absolutely.
It was. That was some good stuff. But
Yep.
as coming up in News of the Week, that win is actually under review right now. And
Yeah.
we'll tell you more about that coming up here in News of the Week. In fact, I actually heard about it on Sunday while I was doing a little bit of looking around the old Twitter sphere. And, so interesting commentary brought up by both Bob Pockris and a couple of the other folks in NASCAR. So, yeah, we'll just have to wait and see what happens there, and hopefully Harrison gets to keep the win, but we should know something on Penalties Tuesday, which, folks, by the time you hear the radio show,
It's already going to be
it's already
decided.
gonna be out there, but we'll have all of the updates on Facebook.com/Burning Rubber Radio so that you can keep up to date with all of that. But
right.
you know what, Andy?
My predictions, NASCAR said to that, and Harrison Burton is going to...
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, granted, the video that shows it, and I've got the video too, so we'll review it too.
All right, well, let's hold it till then.
Right.
Yeah,
We'll get into the details later.
Yeah, we'll get into all the details coming up here in just a few minutes, but we want to get into our sponsors here real quick and talk about them real quick before we do anything else. And the first one being Drive Refine. And ladies and gentlemen, you got to visit driverefine.com. Joey Coulter, Austin Terrio, the entire team doing what they do to make sure that every driver has the best way of communicating, not only with their crew chief, but with their crew, with their teammates, hell, with the competition, even for that matter of fact. And but the best part, again, Drive Refine. It's not just driver coaching, it's Drive Refine.
Drive Refine.
Okay, you two were on point. You missed me by like a mile. Good Lord. I swear, it's like training circus animals here. I can't get them.
Herding cats, baby.
Yeah, right, exactly. And, oh, man.
Better
also
than ducks.
Oh, good Lord. Yeah, no, please don't, because we've already got Quacker on the spit. He's ready to be fried, so.
Oh, my God. That's where that duck is this week?
Yep, he's on the spit. We're getting ready to fry him. And
finally killed him, kicking him.
But either which way here, folks. Next sponsor we're going to touch on here is the folks over at iRacing. Make sure you visit iRacing.com for the world's premier online motorsports simulation. iRacing.com. And for all new subscribers, you still get that 30-day free trial. After that, it's just $9.99 per month. And honestly, with the amount of content that's in iRacing, it is well worth the $10 you spend a month, and then any other, anything else that you buy inside of the simulation as well. Also great stuff to have. And then, of course, MyPillow. Go to mypillow.com/BRR and use the promo code BRR at checkout to get your entire order delivered for free. And again, that is mypillow.com/BRR and use the promo code BRR at checkout. And I am a prime example of how good the MyPillow stuff is. Got a set of the My Slippers, and man, oh man, they are comfy.
We finally got Wayne out of those Snoopy slippers he was wearing around the studio. So,
Oh, I love it. Hey, man, I just wanted to update you on something with iRacing.com. That $9.99 is an introductory offer. It's $12.99 a month thereafter.
Okay, well, that's good to know then. So, folks, $9.99 the introductory price, and then $13 a month thereafter. But still, even though the price has gone up, the price might have gone up a little bit, but the amount of content that you can acquire within the sim for that general subscription price without having to buy anything else actually went with it. It went up, so you get more content for that price you're paying per month. So it's well worth it. And but either which way here, folks, we got to step aside. We're going to take that first commercial break, first pit stop of the show, and when we come back here, news of the week, and we're gonna delve into Harrison Burton's win a little bit. We're gonna talk about the Xfinity Series, the Truck Series, and I'll tell you what, Andy, when we get to what's normally our guest of the week, I'm going to go ahead and kind of preview it for folks right now. We're going to be talking safety in NASCAR again because it's not just 1 week now. It's 2 weeks in a row. And we're going to be touching on what I'm talking about here.
As far as getting airborne.
As far as getting airborne, yeah. We're going to be touching on that coming up here in about 15-ish minutes. But either which way, we're going to step aside, take that first pit stop of the show. And when we come back, news of the week for ya.
To celebrate the new year, we're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50% and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
Burning Rubber is social. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Burning Rubber Radio. Now back to more Burning Rubber.
And we're back. It's Burning Rubber. Producer Wayne, Andy DeLay, and the NASCAR show of John Dix and Zachary Murtis. Andy.
Hello.
And yeah, and by the way, folks, if you're wondering why Zach's not on camera this week, we weren't expecting to have a full studio full of people, so I don't have the fourth camera set up for Zach this week, so he has to...
Long story short, Wayne's lazy.
Ooh.
but the most important thing is Zach's in the house. So.
That's right. Zach's here.
Zach, you're number one.
Yeah, you are. Wayne loves you, man.
Oh, I'm sure he does. I'm giving him so many number ones right now.
Oh, the double shotgun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The double aught 6. But either which way here, folks, we've got to get into some news of the week, and we have got a lot of video to go along with it, baby. So the biggest thing we want to talk about as far as news of the week goes here, Andy, is Harrison Burton getting that 100th win for the Woods brothers in 2024. Now, granted, as everybody knows, Burton does not have a guaranteed ride for 2025 yet because Josh Berry is going to be jumping in that car. But, you know, the win itself right now is actually under review, and you're probably thinking, what is this fat guy talking about here? Well, I got the video for you so we can show it to you as it's going on here. Now, you're watching it with 2 to go right now, and they're on the back straightaway here. Kyle Busch has a clear lead. For folks listening on the radio, this is on our YouTube and Rumble channels, and we're just narrating it for you here. Busch gets out to a good lead as they're coming off 3 into 4 here with 2 laps to go. And then again, they cross the start-finish line, Andy, and just like that, you're going to see a whole change in pace when it comes to the way this race is run. The white flag's out now, so obviously next flag's going to end the race. Harrison Burton kind of sitting by himself on the outside line.
Because Nemechek tried to jump out and make it a top line, and it just didn't work.
And you could see how he just fell all the way back there. But now they're coming back up into the back straightaway here. That outside line is finally gaining that traction. Here comes Harrison Burton. Now I gotta be honest with you. Listening to Lee Duffy call this race was a whole thing, and Parker Retzlaff right here with him in second place. Parker Retzlaff has never had a good run in the Cup Series until what you saw here.
He's never. This is his first super speedway race.
Right, exactly.
Start all around
right here,
too.
right here is the questionable call, folks, and we're gonna rewind it just a little bit for you, and you're gonna see it here. Busch cuts down. Burton cuts down. Now, Andy, you noticed something about that, right? If you go back and watch
Busch
it one
got
more
him
time.
freaking loose.
Well, not just that. Not only did he get him loose, but watch right here, and I'll tell you what, we're even going to slow it down for folks to take a look at it at quarter speed here. You see where he's at right there?
Okay. He got loose.
Well, no, he's below the double yellow line.
Okay.
But now, again, keep watching it at quarter speed here, and you notice he is consistently below the double yellow line and then comes right back up just before they cross the start-finish line. So then the question then becomes, is the win going to be held as legitimate?
Of course.
And again,
Did
we're
he
going to...
advance position?
No,
There's no question that the win's going to be held legitimate. NASCAR reviewed the finish right after the race, and they called it. They said Harrison Burton was the winner. I see no reason they reviewed the finish. He didn't force anyone below the double yellow line. He got forced below the double yellow line when Busch got into him, and Kyle Busch even said after the fact, I didn't mean to wreck him. I was never going to wreck him for it. There's no question that win's legitimate, Wayne. There's nothing really to review there other than the fact of what NASCAR already reviewed. If you want to question some legitimacy, we can question the legitimacy of the shark fin that they put on these cars.
Well, I'll tell you what.
We'll get into that here in a minute.
We'll be getting on to that here in just a few moments. But no. So the question, it was a lot of question that was brought up when I was looking at Twitter actually on Sunday. Matter of fact, actually Sunday night even for that matter. So 24 hours removed from the finish of the Coke Zero Sugar 400, where Bob Pockrass had brought up a note that was saying that NASCAR is re-reviewing the finish of the race because of the fact that Burton was below the double yellow line for what would be a considerable amount of time on track before coming back up and crossing the start-finish line. But now again, and this is where I'm going to say personally, I'm with Zach on this one, where I feel like the win is going to be upheld simply because of the fact being that if you watch it ever so closely, you can tell that he did not get down there on his own accord. He was moved down there because Busch got right up on his rear bumper and was trying to, again, wasn't trying to spin him out intentionally, I don't think, but he was trying to say, hey, I'm coming for you, and I'm going to move you if I have to get this win. And, I mean, it was good, hard racing on the final lap. So do I feel Harrison Burton should keep the win? 100%.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, Wayne. And, Zach, you're absolutely correct. They reviewed it during that time, right after the race was over with, and said it was okay. And the only reason they're re-reviewing it is Kyle Busch requested that. So.
What the hell? Really? He did? This is news to me.
Yeah, no, he actually did request a re-review just to make sure. And but you know, a comment that I had seen, and I believe it was on Bob Pockrass's feed. I'd have to go back and find it. And we can talk about it a little bit later in the show here. But you know, somebody said the same thing, that they did this to somebody in, I believe it was the Truck Series a couple of years ago. No, it was Johnny Sauter actually that it happened to, where he went below the double yellow line. They penalized him for it and actually took the win away. And so people are like, well, if it happened to Sauter, it should happen to Burton. Either keep it the same or remove it, blah, 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 blah. And it's like different situations at different times, you know, call for different results.
Well, I could be wrong, but isn't the rule saying that you go below the yellow line and advance your position, you
Exactly.
have to give it back. That's my understanding.
Exactly, and it's a minor infraction, but in the same right, you are exactly right, John. If you go below the double yellow line per the NASCAR rule book to advance your position, it mentions nothing about blocking anybody. Yeah,
that's right. You know what they should do? They should say, okay, if everyone's really all hard pressed for this, he's guilty. Dock him 25 owner points and give him the win like it matters anyway.
Right, exactly. He's still going to be in the championship 16. So, But we've got to get on to other things here before we really open up a can of worms. And a couple of things that we can touch on real quick before we get to our next commercial break here. Got to talk about the Xfinity Series, and at least one Truex managed to get a win this weekend, and that being Ryan Truex. He gets his third career win in the Xfinity Series, so we've got to send a big shout out to Ryan, because we've had him on the show before too. Great kid, and it's good to see him getting his third Xfinity win of 2024. And another kid, Andy, that we know all too well, and good friends with him. We have got to congratulate him on getting his first ever Craftsman Truck Series win at Milwaukee Mile this past weekend, and that being one Lane Riggs.
Yeah, and throwing his shoulder out of joint doing so.
Yeah. So I imagine Scott was having a fun night. We got to see two NASCAR legends see their kids get wins this weekend, so that was pretty special.
Are you calling Scott Riggs a NASCAR legend?
Yeah.
Okay.
To each their
He
own.
was a NASCAR driver.
Well,
He's a good driver, but he didn't exactly.
He didn't set the world on fire, but he's a good guy.
I'm gonna remember that the next time I see him. Be like, hey, I think you're a legend. Andy doesn't. So.
Yeah, next time you see him, you can also ask his son how his trip to the hospital was, and if he used that winner's check to pay the hospital bill.
Yeah, exactly. But either which way,
he said that was the 9th time he's thrown it out of joint.
Mm-hmm.
Lord.
Yeah.
Stories on our Facebook page, folks. Go check it out, and please follow us on Facebook, please.
Definitely,
like it.
Definitely. But on that note here, folks, we have got to step aside. We've got to take that next pit stop of the show here, and when we come back, safety is a topic on once again this week, and to say I'm a little bit miffed by it is an understatement. But we'll touch on all that when we come back.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
Visit us online at burningrubberradio.com for recipes from the NASCAR chef, John Dix, and more great content.
Yeah, man, I'll tell you what, that dang old internet, man, you just go on there and point and click. It's real easy, man.
Now back to more Burning Rubber Radio.
And we are back. It's Burning Rubber, producer Wayne, NASCAR chef John Dix, Zachary Burtis, Andy DeLay. And, boys, the safety in NASCAR, I'm not gonna lie, is getting called into question once again. Like I'm not gonna shy away from the topic here, because we have to look at something that literally is becoming a huge problem when it comes to motorsports. And you're probably wondering what I'm talking about again. You're like, hey, what's this moron thinking he's talking about? But again, we got to call NASCAR out on this one, Andy. And I'm calling Stuart Haas out on it too, partially, as well as Front Row Motorsports. And I will tell you why I am calling teams out this week, as well as...
I can't wait to hear this.
Yeah, really.
As well as NASCAR. because we saw at Michigan 2 weeks ago, Corey LaJoie flipped. And now, granted, it was pretty much determined by the SMT data that it was an external factor like wind that got a hold of Corey at the apex of that, or the exit of that, banking off of turn 2, and had caught just enough wind on the right rear that it moved the car upward. However, and we've got the video again for you folks, so you can see it as it's happening in live time here. So we're not gonna BS you or anything like that when it comes to the video. We've got the receipts here, but watch this and tell me that how is it
by the 22? It's 34 getting hit by the.
Yeah, exactly.
How is it what?
How is that even how is that even natural to happen here? And again, we're gonna go back. And you see the point of impact right there where NASCAR and NBC even slows it up here where you can see it. But
34 gets hit on the driver's side by the 22 at 197 miles an hour. Yep.
Yeah.
And
he's decelerating.
And we got a car that's got a flat bottom like a wing. Let's see here. How did that happen? Oh my goodness. Let's figure this
exactly.
out.
Now, the other thing to keep in mind here too, and again, when they slow it up right here, and this is perfect because you see Michael McDowell coming up, and then all of a sudden, now look who's right up there in that top right corner.
That's the 48 of
Alex Bowman.
Yeah, Bowman.
But now again, you look at it right there, and I'm gonna play it again. Look at where his left rear, excuse me. Look at where his left rear makes contact with that car right there at the window net.
Yeah. No, he made contact with Bowman just behind the D pillar.
Yeah,
I'm serious. As you can see, as he goes by, you'll see the damage on his left rear of the Ally 48 was just behind the D pillar.
They put so much bear bond on that car, and somehow it still finished the race in the top 20.
Right.
Now here's what I'm saying. I don't see a problem here. 34's back on all four.
But now look at this again. Like now the flip itself, this is where aerodynamically they did right with the shark fin. But now again, you look right here and you can see, so he does just miss the window net there by just a hair. And folks, if you're wondering what our commentary is about right now, we're talking about one of the big ones from this past weekend in the Coke Zero Sugar 400. And if you're listening on the radio, go over to our YouTube and our Rumble channel, and you'll be able to see this video that we are showing off here right now. But he just barely misses him. Now, the wing definitely did what it was supposed to do. That shark fin did its job here, because as McDowell is turned down here, as they're coming off of, I'm assuming this is turn 2, and you watch Joey Logano's in-camera view right there, you can see how that wreck was just all sorts of mess. And even further back here, you're watching, I forget whose view this was.
Well, you're going to beat a dead horse on this.
Well, you know what?
Let's real quick before you go farther into this. Let's take a back step to Ricky Craven at Talladega several years ago in the Gen 5 car.
Yep.
And that damn thing got up into the safety.
Guys, if you look at highlights at Daytona and Talladega, you'll see a lot of cars have been upside down at both those racetracks because they're going so fast. So, NASCAR can try what they can try, but there's only so much you can do when you got a piece of machinery going that fast. What do you want to do? Glue them to the racetrack and let them sit there?
Well, okay. Track cars actually probably would be entertaining too, but we won't get into that point. But the
cars have been upside down for about as long as NASCAR's been around. You're getting these cars upwards of 200 miles an hour. They're going to generate some lift. There's like John said, there's not really much that you can do about it, regardless of what they are or how they're made. You see Xfinity cars.
Can I interject here? Guys, let me interject something here. NASCAR doesn't need to give two shits about these cars getting upside down on the track. Okay, as you can see, the Gen 7 car gets upside down. It does nobody any harm. It slides along its lid just fine. The drivers are just fine. Hell, even whenever whenever they're upside down and get into a frontal impact, the driver's okay. This is all that NASCAR from this point forward, I feel, needs to make sure doesn't happen. That these cars don't get so high up in the air that they go over the fence and into the crowd.
Right.
Elliott
Okay.
Sadler,
So that,
Michigan.
so that is a thing. Yes. But now, and this is where I bring up the other point, talking about Josh Berry here too. And again, we have the video to show it here for you. So 2 to go. Berry gets turned, makes just enough contact with Cindric that he gets airborne or upside down, but smacks that inside retaining wall right there and virtually becomes a spinning top for roughly about 50 feet there, Andy. Now, you hear Lee Duffy make the comment, or was it Lee Duffy or was it might have been Steve Letarte actually, that if you look real closely in the driver's side there with Josh Berry. Now watch this again here, the wreck right here. You see him get upside down right here with just enough lift on that car. But you look in that driver's side there and you see that Berry is not 100% but to seat.
No, he's upside down hanging in his safety straps.
He's hanging by his belts when that should not be the case. Those 5-point harnesses, 6-point harnesses are designed or supposed to be designed where they keep those drivers butt to seat for that entire
What
race.
happened to him? What happened to Berry? Nothing.
Well, the
Walked
thing is,
away
Wayne,
from it.
But
the human body is going to fluctuate a little bit. I mean, it's not solid, it's not rigid, and you can only, in my opinion, if they go any tighter, the poor guys can't breathe or even move.
Yeah.
In there.
Well, that's
my God.
when I'm in the race car, I always put my seat belts to the point where it feels like it's a little difficult for me to breathe, because that's when I know that it's tightened down to a point that I'm going to stay secure in that seat and I'm not going to move. But it was also made a mention by Steve Letarte as well. These drivers, they are athletes. They sweat. They lose weight throughout the race. You can shed anywhere between maybe 1 to 5, 6, even 7 pounds throughout this race. So your belts are going to loosen. You always have to retighten them. And, that's going to be a contributing factor when Josh Berry is hanging upside down. But at the same time, the Joy of Seating, Butler Built, they make great seats for these drivers that keep them secure. And you still can't really move around in that seat. Even though you're hanging, it's tight enough and molded to you to where it's not going to let you, fall out of the seat, even though you've got the 5-point harness there. So Josh Berry got out of the car. He was perfectly okay. Do I still think that was a really scary incident? Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
Do I think he's going to be okay, though? Absolutely 100%.
Right.
Well, and I mean, all things considered, seeing as Corey LaJoie didn't report any issues after his incident 2 weeks ago at Michigan.
Thank God.
Thank God, yeah, because again, that was the first one, and then you see what happens, with McDowell going 195 miles an hour, getting smacked in the driver's door, which was air reminiscent of Ryan Newman from the Daytona 500 back in 2020, and then you see what happens with Josh Berry. That's where I call the safety into play. Whether I say that the safety has a negative connotation or a positive connotation. Personally, I would say it was a little bit of a negative connotation, just because the fact being that with this new aerodynamic wing system that NASCAR had implemented, these were the only the only 2 drivers that got in the air this past weekend. So yes, there's positive to that, but negative in the same right that wing system should also, now again, this will take some development, and I want to hear you guys' thoughts on this. It will take some development to get it where it takes a lot of the velocity off of the crash. So if it catches them getting airborne, find a way to reduce as much of the velocity as possible, so they don't go crashing into an inside retaining wall or a safer barrier at 185, 175 miles per hour, and can help reduce the amount of impact to these cars even more, and in turn reduce the impact to the driver.
What do you got to say about this, John?
Well, what I got to say, Wayne, the way to totally eliminate it is put restrictor plates back on the cars and let them go around at about 50 miles an hour. And we're good.
Yeah, let me put my spin on it. The race car drivers, guys. What do I do for a living? I'm a law enforcement officer. If I don't feel like going out there and possibly getting shot, stabbed, or beat, I don't need to be a cop. The same thing with the guys. They're in race cars driving almost 200 miles an hour. They know the risk that they take doing this. Now, NASCAR is doing everything that they can to make these cars safe. But guess what? As long as it doesn't get into the stands and hurt the fans, it's the risk that they take.
Absolutely.
Everyone accepts that same risk just when they put that helmet on. Now, the problem that I've had with the last week or so when it comes to the shark fin is not necessarily with NASCAR, because NASCAR did take a step to try and make these cars a little bit safer when it came to super speedways. Yeah. I have a problem with the fans who are taking it out of context right now, because NASCAR specifically said, they made this abundantly clear, and it took me a minute to actually grasp it, but they said that all the shark fin was supposed to do was increase takeoff velocity so that these cars could potentially either try to stay on the ground or try to get flipped over enough that they wouldn't stay on their roof. And all of the fans took that as, well, that's just NASCAR saying that these cars are now going to stay on the ground. There's nothing that's going to happen. They're going to stay on the ground. These cars are not going to take off. And then as the car takes off, they're like, well, why did this car take off now?
It's a double standard. It really is with some fans. But again, and like I said, the shark fin definitely helped out as far as keeping initial velocity and takeoff and everything like that. It helped it do a lot better in this race as compared to most super speedway races in the past. And John, case in point, the tapered spacer, I've never been a fan of the tapered spacer idea. The restrictor plate was a little bit better because, yes, it did reduce horsepower by just a little bit, but at the same rate, you still saw top speeds hit pretty good numbers on super
don't forget,
speedways.
Boys, these things are fuel injected now. You don't have to have the restrictor plate. You can just adjust it.
The point I was trying to make, Wayne, is I was just being silly. I said they can put restrictor plates and let them go 50 miles an hour, and they probably won't get off the ground, is what I was saying. So.
Not fast enough to get some takeoff velocity.
Right.
Exactly.
No lift being generated at 50 miles an hour.
Exactly. I was just being silly.
Yeah, and I kind of figured you were, but in the same right, like I said, there are positives and negatives to this whole deal. Positive is we did not see nearly as many potential flips as we could have with Daytona, because there was definitely a lot of tight racing in the Cup race this past Saturday night for the Coke Zero Sugar 400. And, again, we're going to leave it open to everybody else here. Facebook.com/Burning Rubber Radio. Let us know what your thoughts are, whether you're with some of the fans that feel like they should have had that, further lacking of initial velocity and everything like that, or if you think everything went, perfectly fine. I mean, like I said, there are positives and negatives to the whole thing. Positive is we didn't see a whole lot of flip like we could potentially have because of great tight racing, which Daytona is obviously known for. But the negative at that same point is that it still had just enough initial velocity in takeoff that when Barry flipped over, he virtually became a straight-up homing missile to the inside wall. And while perfectly fine, it still poses a little bit of a safety risk, in my opinion. Just my 2 cents. So, Facebook.com/Burning Rubber Radio. Let us know what you guys think. And Andy, I see you sleeping over there, you sorry dog.
Not sleeping, man. I'm just keeping my mouth shut.
It literally looks like John, I kid you not, he literally looks like he's sitting here like this. But either way, folks, we've got to step aside. We've got to take the next pit stop of the show here, and I have a weird feeling, Andy, that John's got balls this week.
Oh, man, you going to make a bowl of D's nuts?
Either way, folks, with that said, we're going to take that pit stop. When we come back, the NASCAR chef John Dix is in the house.
What can we learn from a child?
That spreading joy
is more important than a trophy.
That when we help others,
we heal ourselves.
That with a little love,
we can make the biggest impact.
At Speedway Children's Charities,
our mission
is simple.
Help every child we can.
Because all children deserve joy.
And hope.
And love.
And if one child is still in need,
then there's still work to do.
Because their future
is our future.
and there's still so much they can teach us.
The grill is fired up, and the chef has something good cooking. It's the NASCAR chef, John Dix, and more Burning Rubber.
And we are back. It's Burning Rubber, producer Wayne, Zachary Murtis, Andy DeLay, and the NASCAR chef, John Dix. And John, it is that time of the show, my friend, where we get into the recipe of the week. And once again, you have brought us into the gutter.
I haven't. I know that's where we're going, but I haven't. We're going to do some crab balls this week, guys.
All right.
I didn't know crabs had balls, but okay.
Yeah, I know, man.
Yeah.
Where do they hide their nuts?
I don't know, Wayne, but I don't want to catch you looking for them. So.
I ain't going looking for them. What are you talking about?
Oh, Lord. They must bury them in the sand.
You know, this time of year, guys, we got a lot of seafood going on, and don't forget about our buddy JR the Shrimp Pimp. Go on Facebook and JR Shrimp and get some good seafood. He does have crab. I've gotten some crab legs and some scallops from him as well as shrimp. So we're going to do some crab balls. We're going to start with 1 pound of cooked crab meat, 1 egg beaten, 1 cup of Ritz crackers crushed up, 1 teaspoon of mustard, 1 teaspoon of Old Bay seasoning, and Worcestershire sauce, 2 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice, and 2 tablespoons of parsley. You want to get it all nice and chopped up. And gang, you're going to preheat your oven to about 350. Now, in a bowl, you want to place the crab meat and check out, make sure there's, sometimes when you get this crab meat, there could be little teeny pieces of the shell in there. So to keep it from being kind of uncomfortable when you eat it, you want to check and make sure there's no more pieces of shell in there. All right, then you want to add the crackers and the Old Bay seasoning and the parsley. Mix it well. Now, in a separate bowl, you want to mix your eggs, your mustard, your lemon juice, and your Worcestershire sauce, and mix it well. Then pour that egg mixture over your crab, all right? And gently mix that together. You don't want to mix it too hard or too fast, because what you'll do is you'll break the crab up is what'll happen, okay? You'll have mush on your hands. Now, with your hands, you want to mold the mixture into about golf ball sized balls and place them on a cooking sheet. Bake the crab, again, in your preheated oven of 350 for about 30 minutes or until they're golden brown. And I'm going to tell you something, guys. It's a great little appetizer. Something, you know, with this weekend coming up with Darlington, there's some college football coming up. And you can sit around and have a lot of fun. And, again, this time of year, your seafood is fresh and good, and enjoy it. And, guys, if you have any comments or any recipes you want to send me, we'd love to share them, and you can get a hold of me at john@brrtv.net. That's john@brrtv.net.
Well, I'll tell you what, right off the cuff, I've immediately got 2 comments. One, there are about 150 ways that you can say Worcestershire sauce, and the fact that you said it correctly, and you're not like the millions of dinglings out there that'd be like Wash Your Sister, Roy Sister Cherie, or any of that other mess. I'm happy we have somebody else that knows how to pronounce the name of the sauce, because I keep seeing the reel on Facebook. It's like, oh, I went and bought some Roy Sister Cherie sauce, and I'm like,
just as long as it's not a driver's last name, Wayne, we're good.
Right, exactly. I mean, well, at that point, that's where Andy screws that up. So,
oh man, I'll mess it up for sure.
But the other comment, I was sitting there thinking about it in my head. The minute you said golf ball sized balls, I was like, 4.
I was more concerned about, you know, the shrimp pimp having crabs.
Lord.
Anyway,
I knew we were going in the gutter. I knew it was only a matter of time, but that's okay.
But either which way, folks, here, if you ever want to reach out to the NASCAR chef, John Dix, again, shoot him an email, john@brrtv.net. That's john@brrtv.net. And with that being the case here, folks, we are going to give you one last good look at the recipe for the week. And go make yourself some crab balls. And just be careful that they're not overly sandy or salty, being by the beach.
And make sure you make sure you go on YouTube and get this recipe, guys, and like and share it. Okay.
Exactly. YouTube.com/Burning Rubber Radio, Rumble.com. Search for Burning Rubber Radio. Like it, share it, subscribe to the channels, and hit that little notification bell to make sure you get personalized alerts when we post our new content throughout the week. With that said here, folks, we're going to step aside. We're going to take the final pit stop of the show. And when we come back here, we've got ARCA, IndyCar, we've got Mazda MX-5 that ran this past weekend as well, and a little bit of MotoGP and a little bit of Supercross news to touch on. Plus, we're going to get picks in for Darlington and the Southern 500.
To celebrate the new year, we're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50% and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
Burning Rubber is social. Follow us on Instagram at Instagram.com/Burning Rubber Radio. Now back to more Burning Rubber.
And we are back. It is Burning Rubber, producer Wayne, NASCAR chef John Dix, Andrew DeLay, Zachary Murtis, and boys, hard to believe it's already the last segment of the show, Andy. Can you believe it?
Yeah, it's been quick. Like I said, the fastest 60 minutes in motorsports, baby.
Yes, sir.
From what I hear, Andy, you're always quick. Ayo!
Oh!
quick to go drop a bomb in the toilet and stink everybody out of the studio.
Maybe drop an oil pan, but that's okay.
Yeah, right.
I've done that a few times, too.
Or chase that duck.
Yeah,
Jesus,
too
man.
bad the thing's out back cooking.
All right. Yeah, thank God, too, he's on the spit, because duck meat is going to taste real good to go along with them crab balls this week. So, either way, we got to get back on to some news of the week here, boys. And Darlington this weekend coming up in the Southern 500. And I'll be honest with you, I'm looking forward to it because, you know, again, as much as I hate the Olympics, this race now is the final race in the regular season. And it looks like the points, Andy, They got shaken up pretty good after Daytona this past weekend.
Yeah, I know that Kyle Larson is back in the lead of the playoffs points, of course. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I haven't looked at yet this week who is in the
Tyler Reddick.
Regular season. Reddick is in the regular season lead still. Okay.
Yep, Reddick has got the regular season lead by 17 over Larson, 18 over Chase, and 68 over Ryan Blaney. So it's a three-way. It's still a three-way battle for the regular season championship. Tyler Reddick does not have it locked in yet. And you know, we look at Darlington this weekend coming up here, you know, the 1.5-mile egg-shaped oval, and it, you know, you got a couple of different scenarios here. You know, if Reddick were to win stages this weekend coming up at Darlington, he could easily be a lock-in for the regular season champion. If Larson gets a stage win and a third-place finish, that's going to bump him up to first place if Reddick finishes outside of the top 10, and if Chase finishes outside of the top 10. Same thing goes for Chase Elliott. If he gets a second-place finish in a stage and a stage win, and both Larson and Reddick fall outside of the top 10 in any stage, then that's going to potentially put Elliott as the regular season champion. So Reddick is the most to lose right now going into Darlington.
Okay. Well, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're we're definitely going to see what happens coming up in the Southern 500 this weekend here. But again, like we said, we got to get on some news of the week here. We've got ARCA, we've got IndyCar, we've got Supercross, we've got a whole bunch of stuff to touch on. Just
Formula One, baby.
I could care less about Max Verstappen, but
Verstappen didn't win though. It was Lando Norris.
It was Lando Norris.
I
won
know
by a huge margin, 23 seconds over Max Verstappen.
He stomped their ass this weekend, man.
I remember seeing Norris getting the win this past weekend, but you know
McLaren
how
is
it goes.
Back, baby.
You know how it goes. I got to give a little bit of heat to Max Verstappen, so that's just how it goes when it comes to the
That's a
world
beautiful
of,
racetrack there in Holland, man. I've been to that racetrack before.
It really is. It's a gorgeous track. But moving into the world of ARCA Menards here and just touching on some headlines real quick as we go before we get into our picks for the Southern 500 here. And ARCA Menards, just like the Truck Series, Andy, they were out of the Milwaukee Mile this past weekend, and once again, the Sprecher 150 sees William Sawalich grab the dub.
For the seventh time this year.
Yeah, for the seventh time this year. Yeah, it's not like William Sawalich is just the unstoppable driver in ARCA Menards right now, and yeah, good stuff for William Sawalich here. Moving into the world of the NTT IndyCar Series, and Will Power gets himself a win out in Portland this past weekend and tightens up the battle for the championship here. Wins the BitNile.com Grand Prix of Portland to become IndyCar's first three-time winner in 2024, and started on the outside of the front row, so, second place start, first place finish, and was in the lead by the time he came through turn one at the start of the race and ran away from the field, only giving up his lead during his three different pit stops in the 110-lap race. So makes things a whole lot more interesting when you look at a race like that and how close everything pretty much was this past weekend here in the IndyCar Series. And now Now they say it tightened up the points fight. I'm trying to look up the points standings for IndyCar here, and I'm not seeing them right now. But I'll tell you what, folks, we'll get into that on one of the burnouts later this week on our Facebook page. So, folks, if you wanted some great racing in 2024, you've got it, and you've got multiple choices of where you can go and look at it, and pick your favorite. Sit down with a cold glass of whatever you like to drink, some crab balls made by John Dix, and
and guys, if you don't have time to keep up with us, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and
Rumble.
And Rumble.
And Rumble as well, too, yeah. Facebook.com/Burning Rubber Radio, YouTube.com/Burning Rubber Radio. Instagram is the same thing, /Burning Rubber Radio. We're working on getting our X page back up, and that one is BRR_radio. And I think we're going to be trying to bring TikTok too back, right, Andy?
Yeah, if they don't get banned.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I was working that for a while. Folks, in case you're wondering out there who's doing our social medias, it's usually John and I. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, if you have a comment, you're talking to one of us, so we'd love to hear it.
And every once in a while, I'll sneak in and, give
Are you doing all the burnouts?
Yeah.
Right. I have had somebody ask us, Andy, where were we on TikTok? They were enjoying following us.
Yeah, I just haven't had the chance to keep up on TikTok lately, so it's coming though.
That and it's still
our
going.
Zachary Murdas is going to help us out, right, Zach?
Oh yeah,
there you go. Good job, Zach.
Going to be some fun stuff having Zach's commentary on the Legends series. But the biggest reason we're holding off on TikTok too, folks, is because it's still kind of going through the U.S. government right now and talking about the potential for a ban of the application. So
I wouldn't hold my breath on that one.
I hope not.
I wouldn't hold my breath on it either, but then again,
they'll figure something out. Trust me.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They'll figure something out. Hopefully Elon Musk buys it, and then we can actually have another cool platform to go to. Just saying. I'm not biased in any which way, shape, or form. But one last bit of news here before we get into picks for Darlington here. And Chase Sexton gets himself the Pro Motocross 450cc class title this past weekend, Andy. They were out in Crawfordsville, Indiana, And Chase Sexton wrapped up that title fight.
All right.
So some good stuff there for him and everybody involved in the AMA Supercross and Motocross. But it is that time now where we got to get ourselves into picks coming up here for Darlington and the Southern 500. So, Zach, I'm going to let you go first again this week.
Southern 500. Well, I'm going to take a shot out of left field here, and I'm going to go with Kyle Busch. He is in a must-win situation to make it into the playoffs. He's got very little chances left to get it done. He made a points poll at Daytona, but there's no points polling when you're that far back, so he's got to make it into the playoffs with a win. I think he's going to get it at Darlington.
Good pick.
All right. NASCAR Shift John Dix. Who are you thinking, bud?
Well, I think our old new Hunt Brothers pizza boy, Mr. Logano, is going to spoil it for all the guys trying to get in and get him another win and probably knock somebody out of the way like he did William Byron a couple years ago. But I think the 22 car is going to do it.
All right. So sliced bread for the NASCAR Chef. Pun intended there, by the way. Andy DeLay, you've got the
Bubba Wallace, baby.
No comment.
Yeah.
Woo, you did it again, Andy. You did it again. You made him speechless. Oh, my goodness. That don't happen very often.
No, it really doesn't. Folks that know me well enough, even when I'm off the radio, I am still a very talkative person. It is not very often that you literally will have me sit here, jaw agape, and just be looking in disbelief at the fact that somebody said something. And so,
twice in one show. Good job, Andy.
Thank you.
I was gonna say that's twice in one show, Andy. So I mean, I got to give it to you, my friend.
Let me tell you this, John. If Bubba Wallace pulls this off this weekend, I'm going to be beating Wayne over the head with that.
Oh, he'll never hear the end of that.
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I'll never hear the end of it, but I'm gonna. You know what? I'm gonna play spoiler here because again, I go back and I look at the regular season points as we get ready to head into the playoffs here, and we've only got, like I said, that one person looking in here right now. And you're looking at if we were to go based on the playoffs, you've got Chris Buescher, Bubba Wallace, Ross Chastain, and Kyle Busch. And the last, as far as like playoff contention is concerned here, like you said,
good God, this is just a pick.
Yeah, just pick somebody, Wayne.
Holy smokes!
Hey, and it can't be Bubba Wallace either.
No, trust me, I'm not picking Bubbles to win this weekend. Personally, I'm going to go with Watermelon Man. I'm going to say Ross Chastain spoils it for everybody.
Oh, I'd love that. I love Ross. Florida boy, baby.
I'm gonna say, why do you think I led up to the stats? It's like you got to have something to work with. But Andy, there's speaking of stats, there's one other guy we got to go talk to here. And the motorsports enthusiast, John DeRidgeris, and the final lap. Take it away, John Boy.
NASCAR heads to Darlington this weekend for the last race before the playoffs, and let me tell you, the battle is heating up for the cut line. 2 drivers are going to make it in on points, and potentially 1 driver could make it in on a win, or 3 drivers make it in on points if a repeat winner happens at Darlington. Looking back at last week, I picked Kyle Busch to win. He finished in second. I picked Ty Gibbs to get a top 3. He finished in the top 10, and Bubba Wallace finished in the top 10 as well. My pick that didn't hit was Mr. Justin Haley. Unfortunately, he did not finish in the top 10, but according to Wayne, since I said I have no particular order on those picks and all of them should finish in the top 10, 3 out of 4 of those hit. So, good week there, moving up to 9-17 on the weekend. Let's talk about Darlington. Let's look at some trends going into this weekend's race at Darlington. So, I made this prediction back in the spring for the Goodyear 400, but the last few times that every manufacturer has won at least 3 races in a row, Ford has won that next race. That happened this past year. Now, let's move on to another trend. The last time that Chevrolet has won 3 races in a row, followed by Ford, a Ford won again. So could we see another Ford in victory lane? Another trend to talk about, the last time that we saw the 6 car in victory lane, the previous winner before the 6 was the winner that happened after the 6. That was Mr. Dale Earnhardt in a Chevrolet. Another trend is that Ford has not won back-to-back races here in the last 20 years. The last time that happened was in 2005 and 2006, so it goes against that first trend that I mentioned. Here's another trend. The last 4 times a Ford has won a race at Darlington, the following winner has been a Toyota 3 out of those 4 times. So could we see a Toyota in victory lane? With all that being said, let's dive into my picks, starting with my top 10 prediction. It's going to be Mr. Chase Briscoe. He finished in the top 10 in the spring race. He is below the cut line, so he needs a win. He has a strong car, and he is driving a Ford, so I think he could potentially even really battle for a top 5, but I say Chase Briscoe, top 10 is a lock. My second pick is going to be the 24 car of William Byron. Byron has been very good at Darlington over the last few years, one of the highest average finishes. Now, my top 3 prediction of the weekend is somewhat of a gimme. It's Mr. Kyle Larson. I think he could be battling for a win. He's going to try to redeem himself after spinning out and wrecking in the spring race, but Kyle Larson, top 3, that's the lock. And for my winning pick of the weekend, it's not going to be a Ford. It's not going to be a Chevy. It's going to be somebody who can get in on points depending how the stages go, but he wants to get in on a win, Mr. Ty Gibbs. I think Ty Gibbs can get the victory here. He was battling up at the front in the spring race, and I think Gibbs is going to lock himself into the playoffs with a win, not on points.
All right, Andy. So the motorsports enthusiast, I think he sees it the way I do. It's going to be a battle of the stats this weekend coming up at Darlington. But there's also something else that before you go and open up the peanut gallery here, I have got to send out a huge congratulations to the motorsports enthusiast, John DeRugeris. Boys, he's getting hitched this weekend.
All right. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
And so some good stuff there for the motorsports enthusiast, John DeRugeris.
And there's also something else about the motorsports enthusiast, folks. If you're following us on Facebook, which I hope you are, anyway, our story on Facebook is all about the motorsports enthusiast. When he posts his reels, they go up on our story. So you can follow him right here on Burning Rubber Radio's Facebook page.
There you go.
Exactly.
Check it out, guys. Check it out.
Some good stuff there for the motorsports enthusiast. But again, John, congratulations, my friend, on getting married this weekend, and enjoy that honeymoon. So, folks, for the next month, we will not have any picks from the motorsports enthusiast, so you're going to have to make your own bet sheets for the first 4 races in the playoffs. We've got a very interesting round of 16 when we get into next week, because we're going to see 3 different types of tracks in the round of 16. We've got the intermediate, the 1.5 super speedway at Atlanta Motor Speedway for the first race. We have got the 2.6 miler at Watkins Glen coming up the week after that. And then literally we cut all of that out and we have a half-mile duel at Bristol Motor Speedway.
It's Bristol, baby.
Bristol, baby. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. And these 3 races, all 3 different types of tracks, we are going to have to see whoever makes it into the top 16 really put some work in to get themselves into the round of 12. So who's going to make it in this weekend at Darlington? Time will tell. Who's going to make it beyond the round of 16? Time will tell. And speaking of time here, boys, it is that time where we get out of here for another week of Burning Rubber. For Andy DeLay, the NASCAR chef John Dix, and Zachary Meredith, our producer Wayne. Until next week, we love you guys. Burning Rubber, baby.
Burning Rubber, baby.
Burning Rubber, baby.
Burning Rubber Radio is a production of White Lightning Entertainment with studios in Statesville, North Carolina, and was brought to you by Drive Refine. It's more than driver coaching, it's Drive Refine. Visit driverefine.com to get signed up today. This week's show was produced by Wayne Owens. Remember to visit burningrubberradio.com for news, recipes, and more great content. Burning Rubber Radio can be seen on Rumble, YouTube, or wingding.tv and heard on radio stations nationwide. Any use of the accounts or descriptions contained in this broadcast must be the express written permission of White Lightning Entertainment.